Should you expect to be blown away by a hurricane or eaten by an alligator if you relocate to Biloxi? I'm going to answer all these questions and share with you what to expect when relocating to Biloxi in the Mississippi Gulf Coast. I'm Bryan David, a real estate broker with Expect Realty here on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. And in this video, we're going to explore the beach city of Biloxi. Yes, Biloxi, not Biloxi. So first things first, let's get oriented on exactly where Biloxi and the major landmarks and points of interest are. Biloxi is in a great location. It's right in the center of the Mississippi Gulf Coast. We're about 45 minutes west of Mobile, Alabama. Makes a nice day trip, about 2 hours from the Florida Panhandle. Over in the west, we're about an hour and 15 minutes from New Orleans. And right next door to Biloxi is the second largest city in Mississippi, Gulfport. It has a major port and is home to the Gulfport Biloxi International Airport. To the north of Biloxi is mostly rural communities of Socia and St. Martin. And directly to the east is Ocean Springs, great little seaside town. I can't wait to do the video, but you'll just have to wait for that. The city of Biloxi does have a bus system, and while there are some areas that are walkable, for the most part, it's not. It scores a 31 for walkability and 41 for cycling. Biloxi has Interstate I-10, which runs from Jacksonville, Florida, all the way to Los Angeles, California, running right through the middle of it. It makes a great thoroughfare to connect all of the towns along the beach. From Interstate 10 south, you take I-110 all the way to the Biloxi beach. It connects with Highway 90, which is also an east-west running highway that runs right down the beach. To the east, we have the Point and Casino Row. In the center of Biloxi is Keesler Air Force Base. It's in a great location. It's only 2 blocks up from the beach. It has an active airfield, home to the hurricane hunters, and Keesler is also home to the 81st Air Force Training Wing, so it's a major training base. To the west of that is Edgewater Mall. It's an indoor mall, lots of shopping. Just to the north of Biloxi is the Bay of Biloxi, or Back Bay Biloxi. It's a great waterway with lots of fishing and boating activity, a lot of waterfront property. One of the nice things about Biloxi is all of the waterfront property. We have beach property, we have bay property, we have properties along canals and bayous, lots of riverfront property, beautiful views, deep water access to a lot of it. One thing to note when buying waterfront property, definitely get with a real estate agent that knows about waterfront, because it's not all deep water access. So what about beaches? A lot of people don't even know that the beach is actually man-made. Our barrier islands are about 10 miles offshore, and because we're basically at the end of the flow of the Mississippi River, the bottom is actually mud. It covers all of the sand. So unlike in Florida, where it reflects a lot of sun off of the sand and makes the water turquoise, in Mississippi, the mud bottom causes the water to be brown. Interesting fact, at one point, Mississippi had the longest man-made beach in the world. It was some 26 miles long. According to the Sun Herald, which is our local newspaper, Biloxi schools rated A, all except for their junior high, which rated B, in the school year 2020-2021. There are also several private schools in Biloxi, such as Mercy Cross, St. Patrick, and Cedar Lake Christian Academy. Biloxi is also home to the Tradition campus of William Carey University. So let's get to the good stuff. What is there to do on the Mississippi Gulf Coast? Of course, you got the casinos. If you're into that stuff, there's a lot of great restaurants in the casinos, and a lot of people do travel here. It's the 5th largest gaming industry in the country. Tourism and the casinos is the biggest industry. There is still seafood industry here. Back almost 100 years ago, Biloxi was considered the seafood capital of the world. What is now Casino Row was nothing but seafood factories. There are a lot of outdoor activities as well. Fishing, hunting, golf, biking, and running. We're just a short drive to many places with all sorts of shopping if you're into that. When it comes to food, there is a lot of food here on the coast. Mississippi is rated one of the fattest states in the country, and I know some would argue that's just due to poor food choices and lack of activity, but I'll tell you, it's also because we have some great food here on the coast. And being so close to New Orleans and southern Louisiana, there is a lot of Cajun and French influence here on the coast. We also have a huge Vietnamese population here, and there are Vietnamese restaurants, and they are very good. If you've never had pho, it's a noodle soup. It's fantastic. I find that Biloxi has a very diverse population. Keesler Air Force Base, which used to be called Keesler Army Airfield, has been bringing service members into our coast for nearly 100 years. And many of them have chosen to retire here because of our climate and our hospitality. And back when Biloxi was the seafood capital of the world, we had people migrate here from all over the place. And back in the late 70s and early 80s, we had a huge migration of Vietnamese into Biloxi. And because of these factors, the coast, Biloxi in particular, has become a huge melting pot. So you've probably been on the edge of your seat wondering, will you actually get eaten by an alligator if you relocate to Biloxi? The short answer is no, unless you play with them or try to feed them. And finally, hurricanes. Yes, we've had some pretty serious hurricanes in the past. In 1969, Hurricane Camille. In more recent history, Hurricane Katrina in 2005 crushed the Gulf Coast. We hear a lot about the damage that took place in South Louisiana and the flooding in New Orleans, but ground zero was actually in South Mississippi, and Biloxi got hit hard. Now, these storms don't come every year. It has been a little bit since we've had a hurricane. It's just the price we pay for living on the Gulf Coast. And you can watch more videos about the Mississippi Gulf Coast by clicking right there.